Hi everybody, once again, it's NJP. Rick out here at the NJP Ranch once again with installment number 2, for those of you counting at home. Yes, that is number 2 of the work on the Polaris Indy 440. As you can see in the last segment, we actually went through the engine, pulled the carburetors off, changed the boots for the carburetors, just figured they needed changing, and redid the fuel lines in there, put a new fuel pump in, and this time, I think we're going to spend a little bit of time with the carburetor. A little quality time on the bench can't hurt. So let's jump right into it, shall we? To the workbench we go. Welcome to my messy workbench over here. The carb on the bench, finally. I'm going to get to work on this thing. And first thing we want to do is cut all the zip ties off. This little drainage thing here. There was some gas in the carburetor, as you can see. It's on the bench, but just going to chop this zip tie off here. We'll use a proper clamp when we put it back together. So that's kind of a catch thing, catches water or any kind of moisture. Then instead of letting it accumulate in the float bowl, it accumulates in this. Then you just take the plug out of the bottom and drain it every once in a while to get rid of the unwanted stuff. And it pops off. Almost tossed the carb across the room. But that we're just going to set off to the side, and you see this kind of rusty looking gunk in there. Next thing we're going to do is get in here and take the float ball off. 4 Phillips screws in there. Just want to loosen up. I do cross corners, even loosening them. Just a habit I've gotten into over the years. Just crack them all loose. And once you've done that, then you can take them all the way out. All right, there you go. Like I said, yeah, just hold those. Don't lose them. Tap on one side, tap on the other, tap there. There we go. I heard it break loose, and off comes the float bowl, just like that. And you guys are getting the first look in there before I even see what's going on in there. And looking at the viewfinder and the camera, it looks pretty clean. I'm impressed. So we're not gonna have to do anything to this except maybe just spray a little carb cleaner in and wipe it out. So here, I have you holding onto this. Yeah, you over there. Can you hold this for me? Yeah, hold on to that. Okay, fine, thanks. All right, back to the main event here. We're gonna try not to damage this gasket. It's in decent shape. It's not real bad. It's a little bit tight right there, so I'm gonna try to squeeze under there. And I really don't want to damage this because I don't have a spare gasket for these. And usually you don't have to replace that. If you don't monk them up, you're not going to have a problem with it. Just make sure you get it off there cleanly. Be careful with these gaskets. They will tear at the most unexpected time. There we go. We're out. Almost. Just a little piece right there still hanging on. There we go. That last holdout, always the rough one. There we go. And yeah, it's in decent shape. We'll be able to use that again. Okay, you're holding onto the float bowl. You're holding onto the screws. You can hold onto this. All right, so I got 3 of you guys busy now. All right. So next thing we're going to do is pull out the main jet, which is this one right here. This is your main jet, and you see it's a little grody around it, so that one's going to need to be cleaned out. I have my torch cleaning kit with me. 6mm for the main jet, and we're going to use the same ratchet that we used to pull off the carb boots. A little twist, and off it comes, socket and all. And this little washer here, make sure you don't lose this. You really need to have this. So don't lose that washer. And there's the main jet. See through it? Yeah, neither can I. So that needs to be cleaned. So there's your main jet. And I'm not going to have one of you guys hold on to that. I'm just going to put that over here because I'm going to need to get at that. Next thing we're going to do is take a little screwdriver. You have a little one that can fit down in this little hole, because down inside that little hole is the pilot jet. That's your idle circuit and low speed up to, I think, up to 1/8 or 1/4 throttle, something like that. But it shouldn't be in there real tight. Just back it out. And once you get it loose, you're not going to get it out of the screwdriver because it's brass and it's not magnetic. So just flip the carb over and out it comes. And yeah, there's water in there. Look, you can tell. That's definitely not gasoline. So there's the pilot jet, tiny little thing. There's all kinds of little orifices and little holes in there that need to be cleaned out. So That's where the torch cleaning kit comes in. Needle valve looks pretty decent, but I'm still going to pull it out of there. Little pin in there that holds it in, right there, that's in the shadow. And those are usually fairly easy to get out. Just give a little tap on the end of the screwdriver. Once you get a little bit of a gap right there, you usually squeeze underneath there with a little screwdriver and just pry that the rest of the way out. Just till you can get a hold of it, and then it should just slide the rest of the way out once you get past the point of resistance. That one's going to fight me a little bit, so I don't recommend using these, but they just happen to be handy. Little side cutters just to give it a little bit of extra grasping action there. And out it comes. Remember how this came out. Now I know these carbs, so I know how this is supposed to go. That tab has to face down when you put it back together, and you'll see when we get around putting it back together. The needle valve comes out, and this is one that does not have the neoprene tip on it. This is metal on metal contact in there, so you really need to be concise and clean with this. So that's what it looks like inside there. And this is disassembled far enough that I can put it into the cleaning tank for a while now. This is my cleaning tank right here. Carb cleaner. It's a little messy, but this stuff is pretty darn amazing. I didn't really have much faith in this, but I rebuilt a carb for a friend's sled a couple weeks ago, and we put it in there, and it went in looking like this, and it came out nice and shiny. So let's get these parts all cleaned up, and we'll come back, we'll put the carb back together. Alright, while the major portions of the carb are sitting in the carburetor cleaner, we're going to go through these little parts. I'll show you how to clean these jets off and get the carb cleaner off my hands here a little bit. Alright, so I mentioned having a torch cleaning kit, and it's just these little basically wire files. And they're extremely handy for cleaning these carbs out because they're such tiny little orifices in them. This right here is the pilot jet I was telling you about. And you take the smallest one of these, just put it through there, like that, through each one of the little holes, turn it 90 degrees. These have to be clean. They have to be real clean. It's the one that goes through there. Just run it back and forth a couple times. You're not trying to file material off, you're just trying to run it through there to clean out the opening. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but I can see right through it now. It's camera focus. Yeah, I don't think you guys are going to be able to see that, but that's that one's cleaned up. Here, the guy holding the screws, can you hold that for me too? There. Don't lose that, whatever you do. All right, now to the main jet. And this one here, I can see through it, but I'm still going to run one of these little files through it just to make sure that it's nice and shiny on the inside. There we go, nice and shiny. Here, you can hold on to that too. I'll be back for that in a little bit. All right, well, it's been a little while. I'm pulling the main carb body out of the cleaning vat, as I call it, and we'll just drop the basket right back down into there and do a little touch-up cleaning. I have for lack of having a proper parts cleaning brush, I have a paintbrush here. But even before I even do any scrubbing on here, you look at it and look how much more clean that is just from sitting in the solution. And all right, that's good, nice and shiny and all that kind of stuff. We're not finished with it yet, but I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. You way over there. Yeah, you can. Yeah, just hold on to that. Yeah, what you put on some gloves. Yeah, because it's. Yeah, you don't want that on your hands. The float bowl doesn't need a whole lot, but I'm going to drop it into the cleaner anyway, just because. Well, since you've got your gloves on already, I'll let you hold on to that too while I'm getting set up for the next shot. So, before we put the carb back together, I want to shoot it up with some of this stuff, make sure all the openings in there are working where they're supposed to work. This is your main inlet. This is where the needle jet goes in. You should see fuel coming out right there when I shoot it into here. Watch your eyes, it could shoot back. See, we have some cloggage going on in there, so I'm going to stick it in here, spray it through there, and you should see it coming out right there. See that? It works. There we go. That's working, and I got it all over my jacket. And so just going to give a quick once over with the carb cleaner here. Brake cleaner, carb cleaner. Kind of basically the same stuff. Make sure that everything is nice and shiny. Let's see what happens. Alright, it's coming out of there. You guys can't see it, but it is coming out. I'm going to shoot a little bit right up into here just to make sure that it's open. And you should see spraying coming out all over the place. Perfect. And one more thing we got to get the little needle files out for is this emulsion tube here. There's some little holes in there. You want to make sure that those are cleaned out. And again, that's going to take the tiniest wire that you can find in there. Just run your wire file through right there, and I don't know if you guys can actually see it on camera or not, but it is there. If those are clogged up, your choke circuit's going to malfunction on you, and it's not going to have a good day. It's clean. Another one up there. There's a little bit of gunk on the file coming out of the other side, so that one was plugged. This one here, this one's being a little bit problematic. Not sure why, but there we go. That's what we're looking for. It was a little gunked up in there, so make sure these emulsion tubes are clean. And I shoot a little bit of cleaner down into here, you should see it coming out of that emulsion tube now. Not working yet. So let's go the other way. Let's go this way. Watch your eyes. There we go. All right, that's working. Set that aside, let it drain out a little bit. Nice and shiny. Look, you can tell. Alright, things have been rearranged here a little bit. Got everything all clean and shiny and dried off, and all the orifices are all cleaned out. It's a pretty simple carburetor, really. You know, make sure everything is flowing free in there, and should have no trouble with it. There's no set process, no set sequence of how you put this back together, as long as you put it back together properly. My first thing I'm going to do is put the main jet back in, and don't forget to put this little washer back on there. Put it on there, and in the opening we go. Little finger tight. Grab your 6mm socket. Just a little beyond finger tight. Put your ratchet on there, and you're not going to want to crank down real hard on this thing. Just give it a little bit of a, just so it feels nice and tight. The main jet's in, and now let's drop the pilot jet back into there. Just drops down into that little opening right there. In. Your little screwdriver. Turn in there, and they don't need to be real tight, just snugged up. Alright, put the needle valve back in there. Make sure you put it in the correct direction. It goes in there like this, not with the spring part out, the spring part out. Goes in there like that. And then this, I was explaining a little earlier, there's a little tab on there, needs to be facing a direction. You don't want that tab facing up, you want it facing down, which ultimately will end up being facing up once the carb's back on the machine, but this is how you want the tab on there. Basically what it does, it stops this from going too far and letting the needle fall out into your float bowl, which is not going to be a good day. You get that lined up, stick your little pin back in there. There. That's in. Now this you want to make sure when you're sitting like this that these are sitting basically even with this. You want them to be horizontal like that. You don't want them like that when they're sitting. You don't want them like that. You want them just like that. These are set about perfectly. Now we check this. We're going to test this out with the breath test, I call it. Put the tube on here, a little piece of silicone fuel hose, and blow into it. See? So come out now. When I close it, it should stop. Working perfectly. Make sure you put your gasket on here properly. This goes around that emulsion tube. And this goes where the little outcropping is there. And it just drops right in there. Put the bowl on. Make sure everything is sealed up nice and tight. Yeah, can you hand me one of those? Thank you. Stick one in each corner and there, there, and there. Done. We have rebuilt this carburetor completely. And the last thing to do, of course, is to put on the little drain tube here, little catch tube to catch any moisture might get in the carburetor and the fuel system. And that fits under nice and tight. There we go. Let's go get this thing put back together.